Before I can do that, I see two guys walking behind me in the middle of the street. They now realize my truck is running, but they can't see me. And they start yelling to the guy in the car, hey, yo. But, he now is looking at me through the windshield. He goes into his car and pulls out a crossbow with a scope and points it right at me. And I'm like, hey, there's no time for anything. I'm taking this guy down. I need one or two of you to come over. Let's get this guy in custody because we still got this other op going on. So I angle my truck. I draw down on this guy and I'm like, give him one. I wasn't required to say, I could have just smoked this guy then and there.
Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. We've got Mr. Eric Ensberger back, and I think I got his name right this time because yesterday I didn't.
Good to go.
Apologize for that, brother. But as we were talking yesterday, he's had such an extensive and exciting career. We were talking after we ended yesterday's interview and said, there's this murder for hire case that I really want to talk about because it kind of ties in with the previous guest on here that we had with Brent Cartwright, who was on episode 184 back in February of this year. And then as we continued to talk yesterday, came up with a whole nother case. So we're looking at 3 episodes this week. So don't think today is going to be the end of it. We're going to talk about this one case, talk a little bit about Brent, and then bring you back tomorrow for a third one.
Outstanding.
I don't do that very often, but Eric's agreed to do it, and his life has been so exciting. I believe it's worth it.
Steve, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. Very gracious of you. Thank you.
Brother, thank you for coming back and giving us your time. I know it's we had some technical difficulties yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it was my fault because Murphy's Law, you just learned to live with it. But it's an honor to have you on here. It really is.
Thank you.
You came highly recommended from Lou Velozzi and Lou, brother. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Yeah. He's all right for an Italian guy, isn't he? Yeah. I'm not afraid of you, Lou, because I know your wife. I'll just call her. She'll tune you right up. So, Eric, as we left yesterday, we had you've already transferred with ATF. You're out in Kansas City now. When you got to Kansas City, were you already a group supervisor or did you get promoted out there?
So when I got hired in 98, the rules of the road for ATF and probably the same for DEA is you could not be assigned, you could not be hired into the field division that you were recruited out of.
Right.
So when they asked me in the panel interview in New York and Seattle, where would you like to be assigned? Like what's acceptable to you? And what GS level are you willing to accept to take this job? My answer was, I'm willing to take a GS5 in Guam.
Wow.
And we have 2 enforcement groups in Guam, believe it or not. The meth and guns crazy out there.
Yeah.
So they came back with an offer of a GS12 in Kansas City, take it or leave it. And to get a GS12 out of the gate, which the majority of my academy class was hired at a GS12, was unheard of. You cannot do that today. You get hired at a 579. That's it.
Wow.
You could have a doctorate degree and have been a cop for 10 years. Maybe you'll get a GS9. So when I got to Kansas City, I'm like, at least it's not LA. It's halfway, I can get back to New York easily. And my first wife she was a New York City cop and she was out on a line of duty injury, but we had a son and he was about 6 weeks old when my start date. And, she goes, well, I'm not coming out to Kansas City and neither is your kid. Try and get transferred back. So that took like 3 years. And, that was a little much to recover from. But so Kansas City, I wound up doing 98. I got hired and then I got transferred back to New York in, actually I got transferred back to New York when I was in the middle of SRT basic school. Mm-hmm. So that was March of 2001. So when I reported right back to New York.
And SRT, that's a special response team?
Our special response team, our version of SWAT, unbelievable program. The operators, cutting edge, the medical personnel, the tactical medics, unbelievable. It was I can't believe I'm getting the opportunity to do yet that mission also.
You know, and that's something that law enforcement was so slow, especially the feds, in bringing along, is to bring in these specialized teams. I mean, the Bureau had their HRT, a hostage rescue team, which is world renowned. But, you know, in DEA, we were slow about it. Sounds like you guys were slow about it. I'm sure the marshals were as well. But in HSI, I'm not sure about them, or they used to be customs. But having a trauma-trained medic on site going into violent situations, that's just a no-brainer. But man, it took us years to come up with that.
Well, Steve, it got even better for ATF. So ATF pre-Waco was division-wide special response teams. So 26 field divisions in the Bureau, and each one had its own SWAT element, SRT element. There was common training, everybody, but each division. So after Waco, a little bit after Waco, it got designed that there would be 5 teams located throughout the United States: Sterling, Virginia, LA, Miami, or actually Lauderdale, and Detroit and Texas. And that worked out great. That was the system that I got hired under. So you were on one of those 5 teams. You trained and qualified in everything, physically, weapon systems, and training every 90 days. You went away for a week. And that was on top of training that you would get just as a regular street agent back in your division. It was a well put together program. So SRT also had developed a very tight relationship with Johns Hopkins Trauma. And our medics would do rotations in the level 1 trauma at Johns Hopkins, level 1 traumas throughout the United States, depending on where you were stationed. And the gunshot treatment protocols were right there with a military combat medic. Johns Hopkins also went one step further that, again, this is post-Waco. If we were going to do an op that was so far removed from where a hospital would be, we could have trauma surgeons from Johns Hopkins come out. A triage surgical tent would be set up at a location away from the op. And we were not dependent on a local level 2 or 3 hospital transport. We did everything was in-house.
Holy cow.
And we would have air asset at the ready to be spun up if we had to do a medevac to a hospital trauma one. So the SRT program in ATF consummately thought out. And I tell you what, as an operator and as an undercover, when they covered some of my deals, 100% trust, confidence, faith. Great program.
Excellent to hear, man. That's fantastic.
And we're not the only ones. Your DEA program is absolutely fantastic. Of course, the FBI with their HRT and their local teams, everybody's got good skills. And the local teams, the local teams are just fantastic due to the reps that they're doing every single day. Yeah. And Kansas.
Perfect, right?
So the ones I worked with mostly were New York City Emergency Service, New York's NYPD SWAT team. And they had started a thing called the apprehension team, the A team. So there was ESU, I think 11 trucks, 11 units throughout the city. But there was, back in the 90s, there was such the number of warrants that had to be executed, fugitive warrants, narcotic search warrants, that they didn't want to take a big truck out of service. They would have this apprehension team, and there were 2 of them. So it was a sergeant, like 10 guys, and they would just go from entry to entry to entry to entry. Fantastic program. When I was in the DA's office, I used them like I knew them all first name basis. That's how much we used them. When I came out to Kansas City, similar program. They have SWAT, and then they have this street narcotics tactical unit. Sergeant, 8 or 9 guys, and in the gun squad and our sister squad, the career criminal being FBI sponsored. Of course, we were ATF, and DEA, HSI, everybody had like a task force group there. So these SNUTAC SWAT, but usable, and they were dedicated to us.
Nice.
When I got out there in 2014, take over the gun squad, I got introduced to this concept and I said, I got to borrow some guys from another group to cover this. The other, borrow anybody. We had a SWAT team that goes with us on every buy, every search warrant, every surveillance, every enforcement action. I was like, and we needed them.
Yeah.
We needed them. These were gangsters, no regard for human life out here. And no hesitation to shoot it out with the police at all. Crazy.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
So now you're transferred into Kansas City.
Yes.
And are you a GS then?
When I came back in 2014, I had been a GS for 10 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're
I
coming in
had
seasoned.
run the New York City Joint Firearms Task Force for a few years. Group 4, I had run the Long Island Task Force for a few years, and then jumped out to KC.
And so after all that experience in New York, did you think, well, going to Kansas City is going to be a piece of cake?
No. No. Because I knew the lay of the land, and ironically, my original training agent, Harry Lett, another fantastic undercover, his daughter was born a few months after my son was born. They're married now. My original training agent is my son's father-in-law.
Wow. I got to tell you, man, that sounds very incestuous, but we'll leave that off the table.
And Harry is a larger than life guy. He's like, they call him the mayor, the governor. We cannot go anywhere in the 50-mile radius. And he knows everybody.
Nice.
Everybody. We were driving a flatbed to pick up his broken truck at his farm. Every cop out here has a farm. Harry's got like a 200-acre farm, and all these cops, detectives I'm working with. Yeah, I got 40 acres. I got 50. I'm like, what?
Wow.
How do you do that? But they did, back when land was like a nickel an acre, and these guys, God's not making any more dirt. They got dirt. So we're dragging Harry's truck back on a flatbed, and he blows out a tire. This is like 11 o'clock at night. And when I say we're in the middle of nowhere, we're in the middle of nowhere. A cop drives up. It's like a 2-person police department. And he comes up to the window. He goes, Harry? And I'm like, everybody. Yeah. So,
good timing.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, when I came back in 2014, and when I came back there, Steve, one of the reasons I got selected for that GS job was ATF, the Kansas City Field Division, was making that gun squad the largest task force group, the largest enforcement group in ATF. A normal group is a GS and 9 agents and an investigative analyst, the secretary. But they're not secretaries. They're a lot more than that. That's a full boat, according to ATF. And the majority of groups not fully staffed. It's like one riot, one agent with ATF. I always compared this. So when we became a bureau in 1972, the amount of agents in 1972 and the amount of agents when I got hired and when I retired, the number never changed. So we were like a patient in a coma, given just enough to survive, keep the body alive, but we're not gonna grow you. It's such a political football, and the public really doesn't know what we really do.
That's outrageous.
Stuff like that you heard yesterday, stuff you're going to hear about today. We crush mega violent murderers, shooters, armed robbery crews, drug trafficking organizations using the firearm in furtherance of their business and teaming up with DEA, local narcotics units all the time. That's the real work that ATF does, the firearms trafficking. We're not trying to take guns from law-abiding. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've got, if you took all the guns the agents own that I know, we could basically probably hold off a armed division of any army. So every agent I know, we're gun owners. We enjoy the shooting. We take the firearms from people that are prohibited, multi-convicted felons, a crew that just knocked off 60 guns in a gun store burglary. Those are the guns we're getting. Those are the kind of guys that when we take them off the street, we make a difference because the number of gun crimes, shootings will go down. And I won't get too far down the rabbit hole, but my measure of violent crime in a city, an area, murders are a number that you can't sweep under the carpet. But they don't tell, I think, the real accurate picture of the level of violence in an area. You have to go to the number of people shot that lived. And then the subset are shooting incidents where nobody got shot. But that occurred. We know that because we respond and there's 40 shell casings on the street. So there was a shooting, just nobody happened to get shot. And the people that are shot that lived, a lot of them, the miracle of medicine, modern trauma medicine, keeping people alive that, 20, 30 years ago never would have survived. So you take the number of shootings, that is the true picture of an area and violence. And that's what we did. And our measuring stick was, if we take this murderous shooting crew off responsible for shooting after shooting after shooting, well, how many shootings are in that area to 6 months after we take them off? Did we make a difference? And that's the gun squad that I came into in 2014. These guys were hitters. And massively motivated. Okay, difference between New York City and Kansas City. In Kansas City, these gangsters are up and running at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. All my agents in the office, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. In Brooklyn, in New York City, I was happy to see my agents dribble in at 10:30 because you had a hour and a half commute. If nothing goes wrong, no accidents, no road rage, no flake of snow, no rain, hour and a half commute. That's one way. Then you got to do it again at night. And then you got to find, if you don't have a dedicated lot, you got to find a parking space, a legal parking space. So when you go out to go a deal, your car isn't towed, and that's another adventure. So when my agents would dribble in New York, they've already had half a day. Yeah. Crazy. And we would try to schedule a lot of deals after 6 p.m. Why? I don't have to go home till 10 or 11 at night. Much quicker commute.
Absolutely.
Kansas City, they would say on the radio, oh my God, the traffic on 435. And I'm like, I'm on 435. We're moving. Yeah, but it's like 20 miles. I'm like, we're moving. You know what traffic is when you stopped on the Belt Parkway in Park reading the New York Post.
Oh,
that's traffic.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, just
when you got out there, is that where you met Brent Cartwright?
Yes. Yeah. So in 2014, when I took over the gun squad, Brent was assigned to the Undercover squad, and that squad was co-located in the Secret Squirrel building with all the other tier 1 units is the best way to put it. And everybody kind of knew what everybody was doing, because I always said the reason that this whole Kansas City adventure works is no egos and trust. And I don't care whose handcuffs go on the bad guy. Agent, task force officer, uniformed cop, FBI. I don't care. I want the bad man to go to jail. That's the goal. And that's how we're going to protect society. So everybody was a quadruple A personality. Like, don't say something wrong in the squad room, because in that Shark Tank, you say one thing, 1 degree off, yep. It's merciless.
Yep.
But that's the way it was just with top people. It's, don't want to say something, perceived to be, stupid. So I meet Brent, and I'm looking at this guy, just the way he dresses, the way he speaks, the way he hums the role. It's a craft. Unbelievable. I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, this guy's squared away, super squared away. He lived and breathed. There was a homicide suspect in an apartment building, and they knew the apartment, and they were about 99.9% sure this guy was inside the apartment, and he was gay. This is Brent. We got the SWAT guys here. We got the case guys here. The cast of 1,000 is out, hidden in the neighborhood. We need to verify this guy's here. And if possible, bring him outside. And he's gay. Okay. So Retro Ricky, what we called him, because he would dress like it was 1970, going to dance on the Soul Train dance sound set. Yeah. And so he's Retro Ricky. And this is just what this dude brought to the table. He's like, okay, gets himself into the building. And he's dressed like a skell, as we said in New York, like a stinking, smelly skell, like a meth addict, because that was his deal.
Yeah.
But he's not a smoker, but he had a pack of cigarettes. And he goes, that's my in. Knocks on any door. And he said, hey, looking for so-and-so. And he says like the first name of the bad guy. Like, which part? I got like cigarettes for him. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's there right now. He's up in the apartment. Oh, okay. So now Retro Ricky, Brent, has to go into gay role. And he knocks on bad guy's door, and he does a better gay impression than a gay guy. Like, he's the Cam of Modern Family if he ever had to be gay. Brent, aren't you glad I'm telling the gay story? I could have told 100, but this is the one I'm telling. And he says, oh, I got some cigarettes. Do you need a pack of cigarettes? And he goes, oh, Ricky. And he goes, and Brent seamlessly, okay, the door's open. I'm talking to him. Positive ID. This is our bad guy. They can hear this on the wire. Good. And then Brent says, want to kick it? Like, want to hang out? And he says, oh, yeah. So Brent's now got to get him outside. And he goes, hey, how about I go up the street and I get a 6-pack of beer. We come back and, we'll whatever. You want to come with me? And he goes, yeah, hold on. I get my jacket. Brent literally walks him outside. And everybody's like, bravo.
You can't believe
unbelievable.
It. Yeah.
Brent, we joke about this thing too. The bad guy tries to run when he sees like the 3rd Armored Division moving in, and they're all looking at him, and he starts running. They crush him instantly. Bad guy. He's in pocket. Brent, staying in roll, he runs. Brent is a track star. He was on the Army's cross-country team. He's like the 4.5 minute mile guy. I mean, This dude can move. And we had always joked about how we would train for foot pursuits. You get some 18-year-old kid that's jacked up and a track star. And we always said, keep him in sight for 100 yards. The adrenaline dump, they're going to run out of gas. Keep him in sight 100 yards, and you got him. Brent, at the 100-yard mark, he's now being chased by 2 SWAT guys that don't realize they're chasing Retro Ricky.
You're kidding.
And he goes, Eric, at the 100-yard mark, I was gassed. Gassed. And from being chased, the adrenaline dump, the murder suspect, the whole thing. So I got SWAT guys chasing me, and he's like, same team, Farva, same team. And they realized, thank God they realized before he got lumped up. But but that's what I saw with Brent. I'm like, a talent. Look, undercovers, if you get to the level that his unit was at, you had skills.
Yeah.
Same thing in ATF and DEA and anywhere else. If you get to a certain level, you've somewhat started to perfect the craft. And that was Brent. So then he does another deal actually for us on a target. And it's I don't want to say simple because nothing's ever simple, but he's going to go into a house and he's going to do a relatively small meth buy. He goes into the house, boom, door gets locked behind him. And mandatory, any Kansas City police detective doing an undercover, you have to have the SNUTAC SWAT team on station, standing by for a rescue. So he had that. So he goes into this house, he's locked in, and he's confronted with the sales subject, and he's negotiating. Well, sales subject goes to get the 1 ounce or however much it was, and he can't find it. And then he starts having an argument with the other guy in the apartment. You stole my dope. Well, one guy pulls out a gun. One guy pulls out a knife. And then one guy's trying to choke the other guy. Brent's trying to calm this down. And he does. Gets it, put the gun down, put the knife down. And he goes, hey, I'm going to go get a 6-pack. What do you guys want? Let's just take a breath. Yeah. And they let him out. They unlock the door. They let him out for the price of a 6-pack. He gets out and he's like, okay, there's one guy with a gun. There's one guy with a knife. Our sales subject is inside. The dope is somewhere in the house because one guy stole the other guy's dope and he's still there. So that means the dope is still there. And SNUTAC went in and without incident executed the warrant. I felt so impressed by that ability. We always say the best weapon an undercover has is the mouth and the mind. Absolutely. You can talk your way out of like 99.9%. And I would always tell my cover team, I'm like, don't come in on a rescue unless I ask for it. Mm-hmm. If you hear me say the words, hey, behave yourself, that means tighten it the F up because this is getting dicey. But don't come in unless I use the help word that we have, or if there's gunshots and gun smoke coming out of the car I'm in, you may want to come and see what's going on.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I'm going to make a plaque for Brent. This was above and beyond. It needs to be memorialized. So I get funding from our division and I make him up a nice plaque. And I recite the incident on the plaque. And I make a kind of deal of presenting it to him in front of his squad, just very informal. And, we didn't know each other that well yet. Well, little did I know, that's the only award that he had ever been given as an undercover, if you don't count the Purple Heart from getting shot 6 times on a fugitive deal. And he made mention of that in a few posts, and he shows the plaque, and he's like, hey, this ATF guy, the only guy that ever got me something.
Nice.
So I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a big deal. And then I went on a campaign like Sherman through Georgia in the Civil War. I'm going to get Brent in the gun squad as a task force officer, which when you got a top tier player, nobody wants to let him or her leave the team to go play in somebody else's sandbox, even though, we're all playing in the same sandbox and together. And, it's a beautiful relationship. But I go on what one of my old Sachs, Greg Gant, used to say, slow, steady, continuous pressure. Continuous for as long as it takes to accomplish a goal. So I started going to the PD bosses, and I had political capital with them because we were making magic happen. We were just doing stuff that cops would say, how did you do that? And it was the skill of the members of the gun squad. I mean, all of them smarter than me. I pride myself on surrounding myself with people smarter and better than me.
Smart.
And that was the deal with the gun squad. ATF, I merely one sentence. I want Brent Cartwright as a TFO. Yeah, make it happen. Well, the PD was not so willing to let him go out of their unit, but they did.
Yeah.
I am dripping water on a rock. That's how the Grand Canyon was made. I didn't have a few million years to make Brent happen, but we got him. And you talk about like the crazy violence in Kansas City. So Brent was shot on I believe it was July 15th of 2018. It was a Sunday morning. And the Thursday before, we were in this bad guy's neighborhood that shot the guy that shot Brent. So we were very mindful because we had been looking for this guy. He'd executed a foreign exchange student on a armed robbery at a fast food place. And he was a pattern armed robber from Oklahoma. Oklahoma had called him our most dangerous armed robber ever. That's how they described the guy that wound up shooting Brent.
Wow.
Well, the Thursday before that, we're on a surveillance to take a tracker off a car, which can almost be as dangerous as putting one on. So we had a full boat of the squad to cover the 2 guys that were going to go crawl under this car in broad daylight and get this tracker off. Good. I'm in my Chevy 2500 limo tinted out pickup truck, fested up, ready for whatever may occur. We contingency planned several bad things that could happen. So we were ready to execute a good plan. Car pulls up in front of me, maybe, 50 yards in front, maybe less than it, maybe about 30 yards. And I see a black male get out. He's got no t-shirt on and he's got camo shorts, and tattooed across the back of his back is suspect. It's tattooed so big, I could read it without the binoculars. I'm like, oh, God. Next to me, to the left, are a whole crew of Mexicans roofing. This is like 1 p.m. And this guy opens up his trunk, suspect, opens up his trunk, triple beam scale, and he's weighing out ounces. And people are coming up to the trunk. He's serving people. Like, I put this over the radio. I'm like, unbelievable. I want to, so we're talking about, hey, I'll just vector in a uniform guy on the radio and, boom. Well, before I can do that, I see two guys walking behind me in the middle of the street. They now realize my truck is running, but they can't see me. And they start yelling to the guy in the car, hey, yo, but, he now is looking at me through the windshield. He goes into his car and pulls out a crossbow with a scope and points it right at me. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, hey, there's no time for anything. I'm taking this guy down. I need one or two of you to come over. Let's get this guy in custody because we still got this other op going on.
Right.
So I angle my truck. I draw down on this guy, and I'm like, I give him. I wasn't required to say. I could have just smoked this guy then and there, but police drop it, and he does. He's also got a loaded gun just inside the car. I didn't see that. Well, who's the first guy to come screaming down to back me up is Retro Ricky, Brent. Now, Brent was ready to be what we call a ghost or a walk-on. Like he's going to jump out of his van and he's the eyeball of the guys that are going to yank this tracker off. So when Brent comes screaming down the street in his minivan, I can see him through the windshield. He's putting his vest on. He's probably looking for the gun that he put under the seat because he's about to jump out and be a ghost. And so Brent made the arrest, and he was a multi-convicted drug felon. Well, Brent gets shot like 3 days later. I wind up. I'll do the grand jury. I do everything. That guy bit off 20 years on a plea for that little 5-minute adventure in the street. But that was Brent. Like there were 15 guys on that op. Brent couldn't drive. It was like a NASCAR race for him to get to my ex.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And we were super tight once he got into the squad and even tighter after the shooting. And, and he's just such a good person. And his wife, just like the female version niceness of him. And they got kids that are fantastic.
Yeah. Good people.
So I got, what will be a lifetime relationship with him. He doesn't live too far away. And to give back to the community, he is a coach at my kids' school for track and cross country. And he's awesome. Like I always worry, like, hey, do I, you kind of want to watch your kids. And I'm like, I don't have to watch anything. Brent's there. So that's the Brent story. I can't say enough good things about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Now so how do we get into this murder for hire? What's the story on this?
So the murder for hire. So I'm 5 months out of the ATF Academy in Kansas City. On paper, I had gotten hired into a gun squad, a firearms group, violent crime group. Halfway through the academy, I get transferred to a bomb and arson group.
This is the beginning of your ATF career,
beginning of my ATF career. And I was like, oh, God, it's like the last place I wanted to be. But like everything else, I approach it, I'm going to be all I can be. Like they were fairly people towards the end of their career. They weren't, anything that came up, they're going to investigate it. But,
not going to be too proactive.
I'm like, hey, how about getting hired out as an arson for hire? Let's proactively buy explosives, which is a big deal out here in the Midwest. Stolen explosives, regular explosives. So that was like my mindset. Go, proactive. And I'm like, these old guys are like, trying to yank the choke chain. And I'm like, oh, these guys don't know what I do.
Hey, kids, you're going to make us look bad.
If you say, these guys don't know how I operate. It's like, I am willing to do whatever I got to do to get in the mix, proactive, get in front of a bad guy, make friends with the local squads. You know, that's the real knowledge base there.
Yep.
So, unbeknownst to me, my kid's father-in-law, Harry Lett, had teamed up with a robbery detective from Kansas City, Wes Patterson. And the two of them had started getting information about, they're starting to hear about this guy that's looking for somebody to kill his wife. And they're hearing it from a guy that got arrested for like his third DWI. He needs his license for what he does for a living. If his mother was selling meth, he would have given up mom to keep that driver's license. That's all he wanted, to keep his driver's license.
Okay.
So they get the story out of him, the name of the bad guy, and they have him call the bad guy and say, hey, I got somebody. And they had thrown me into the mix because they knew I was from Brooklyn. I've lost it a little bit, but I sounded like my cousin Vinny, like I was, you know, Joe Pesci, the whole South Brooklyn, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge accent, you know, the hands and the whole thing. So they're like, oh, let's plug this new guy into the mix. And Harry easily could have done the Undercover, or any one of the other guys could have done it, but put me on the field, coach. And they did. So it was a very simple phone call to this guy. I'm like, hey, I'm Nicky. I heard you need some work done. As everybody that's going to get whacked in Brooklyn, it's like called work. Okay, good. So he right away, he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, let's meet tonight. And we set a McDonald's parking lot. And 9:00 at night, pull in there in my undercover ATF pickup truck, and he pulls in with his pickup truck. And of course, I knew what he looked like, and I told him, look for the black pickup truck. I wave him over. He jumps right in, and he's like, oh, this is good. Everybody knows my pickup truck. And my wife lives merely 4 blocks down the street. Good. And so, again, this is like something that ATF has done a lot of. We've developed techniques on murder for hire cases that it's not the only way to do them, but it's a way that works. And right. and many other departments, agencies, you know, they do them too. It's not curing cancer, but there are some guardrails. And one of the guardrails that the ATF guys would always say is, hey, when we meet a bad guy, we want to make sure he's a bad guy. We investigate criminals. We don't make somebody a criminal.
Right.
So if it's a guy that just woke up and, you know, he's pissed off and he's like, I want to whacked. Well, that's how he feels right now. Is he going to feel the same way tomorrow morning? Mm-hmm. So you want to dial out the emotionally invested people, that it's an emotion that's going to pass, and you separate those people from a real evil person that absolutely does want this done. And that's exactly what this guy turned out to be. So as I'm talking to him, and I'm creating a situation for him to feel comfortable with me. So I dangle some things that will help him come to, you know, he thinks an accurate conclusion, like, oh my God, this guy's a mob hit guy out of Brooklyn. All I said to this guy, hey, because I got to explain, what am I do? I'm like a Japanese tourist talking like this, looking like this in Kansas City. I had some problems. I had to get away from there for a while. So I'm painting a picture like, hey, I didn't say I've ever hurt anybody. I've never shot anybody. I've never killed anybody. But that simple phrase percolated in his mind. Oh, okay. I know what I'm dealing with now. This guy's a stone cold killer. Fantastic. Good. Because that's what I want you to believe, but I'm not going to come out and say it, because there's also like the level of water. you don't want a jury listening to this tape and trying to figure out who the bad guy is. Right. Like, the undercover does not want to sound worse than the guy we're investigating. So it's basically, you know, how far is this guy gonna talk and run? And, you know, I'm looking for, does he really want this done? And that's the questions. And I'm continuously giving him outs. Like, I remember telling him, I'm like, hey, if I killed every woman that ever did something to me, there'd be bodies from here to the Pacific Ocean. Do you really? I want this done. And he wouldn't even let me finish sentences. I want it done. I want it done. I'm not going to change my mind. I think he said, she tore my heart out, threw it in the dirt, and put her footprints in it. And he said that a few times during the song. He's like, she tore my heart out and threw it in the dirt. I'm like, okay, emotionally charged. What's the veracity? Well, the veracity doesn't take long to come out. He says, I need this done, and I'm not backing out. And I've already talked to one guy about doing it, but for 2 months I've been talking to him. It hasn't progressed. So I got another guy that said he would do it, and I've already given him $4,500. Just hasn't done it yet.
Wow.
I need this done. And I'm like, okay, checkbox. We are not making someone a criminal. This dude, everything has ratcheted up now. This is a dangerous situation. So now, we're always looking to see, is this serious? A guy that really wants this done. Well, I've already paid somebody to do it. He just hadn't done it yet. That's serious. So now I start going through with him. I need a picture. Pulls it out of his pocket. Here you go. And says, and her hair is slightly reddish, blondish now from being dyed. And she weighs this much. She's this much. And through the 2 meetings that night, he provides a floor plan for the apartment. We drive a few blocks down the street to this loft apartment building. And he goes, that's her windows. That's her car. 3 blocks over that way, that's the bar she works at as a bartender. This is where she eats breakfast. This is where she exercises. I mean, wow. He's laying it out. Gives me her work hours. And then he's like, when am I going to do this? Well, at this point, he needs to be arrested quickly, meaning tomorrow morning. And we need to get this wife in pocket tonight. Nothing, we've got this other guy out there somewhere. I got to find out who that is. So this is how I do that. I tell him, I can't believe he hasn't done it yet. I'm like, it's a bad name for the business. I said, look, give me his name. Tell me where he lives. I'm going to get your money back. Don't ask Al. I'm going to get your money back. And I'm keeping half, but I'll give half back to you. He's like, oh, okay. Gives me full name. Here's his address. Here's his car. Here's his license plate number. And he did like 6 to 8 years on a cocaine conviction, which you get that much time in the state of Missouri, you add weight. And there was a story behind that. Like, you don't get that kind of time in the state. Good. And he tells me he's still buying and selling cocaine on parole. So that goes into the tickler file, because now we're going to get in front of this guy as soon as we arrest the main subject. It's all coming together. So we settle on $5,000 to do this. And he tells me, by the way, my wife that I've been separated from for 6 months now, I think she's using cocaine. She might be selling cocaine. I think she's got money in her apartment. She's got cocaine in her apartment. I'm like, and he's kind of intimating, take your fee out of the money that you find. I'm like, hey, John. His name was John. I'm like, no. I said, I will get my money from you tonight. because I'm doing this tomorrow morning. And, that's how that works. Hey, any money in the apartment? I'm going to keep 1,000. I'll give the rest back to you. That sounds good. So we've got a guy that's predisposed to commit this crime. So there cannot be the entrapment defense. Oh, he never really wanted to kill. Well, yeah, he actually already paid somebody and tried to get another guy on the hook, but that guy it didn't come through. And now he's talking to me, number 3,
right, to
kill his wife. Okay. So this guy, and he's with the whole country Western phrasing, like, I could have taken all the lines that he told me that night, and I could have written like a Hank Williams Sr. Sad love ballad with all of this stuff. And he wouldn't let me finish sentences. I'm like, listen, if you're going to have second ideas, I want it done. I want it done. And I had originally told him, I'm going to call you right before I'm going to do this to make sure you really want to do this. And he goes, I'm not backing out. Like, you don't have to call me. I'm not backing out. I want her dead. I want her dead. I want her dead. I'm going to miss her. I'm going to miss her. But I can't take any more of this, heart thrown in the dirt. Okay, yeah. Good. So we settle on 8 o'clock in the morning. He suggests, hey, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting him to tell me, like, what do you want me to do? Like, how am I going to get into this building? How am I going to get her to open the apartment door? He doesn't have a key. Okay. So he says, he's, again, a guy that's predisposed. He says, I've already thought this all through. The name of the maintenance guy is Bernie. He doesn't get in till 9 o'clock. The office for the building doesn't open till 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to ring a bell to get in, saying you're like social engineering. I work with Bernie and I'm supposed to come here. There's a leak, and it's not 3 o'clock in the morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. You'll get buzzed in. Go up to her door. You'll catch her off guard and say, hey, there's water coming into the apartment underneath you. Bernie contacted me to come and check this out. I'm a plumber. She'll open the door. Okay.
He's good. Really thought this through, hadn't he?
He's thought this through. But now, and a little bit of jury appeal, if this is ever going to go to a trial, but really it goes to the veracity of, just his state of mind. I'm like, what do you want me to do to her? You want me to rape her? You want me to crucify her on the wall like Christ on a cross? You want me to pull her eyeball out and bring it back to you? I mean, what do you want me to do? And he goes, no, I don't want her to suffer. I want you to knock her out and stab her to death. Yeah, okay. That's a good plan. And then furthermore, he goes, and I want this to look like a drug deal gone bad. She's probably got cocaine in her system. And if she does, even better, it'll look like a drug deal. I want you to sprinkle cut up cocaine. He's very specific. Cocaine, cut it up with baking soda, sprinkle it over the body, and throw money on the floor. It'll look like she was murdered over a coke deal. Without missing a beat, I say, give me some cocaine. And he's like, oh, I don't have any with me. I don't have any. I don't know. He's not a cocaine dealer. Good. I say, well, give me an extra 500. I'll get the cocaine. Oh, okay. Sounds good. And now I'm like, let me make sure this guy doesn't have a gun on him. And I go like, do you have a gun that you could give me tonight to do this? A gun? And he goes, well, I only have one gun. I keep it behind my headboard. I don't have it with me right now. I'm like, good. Thank God.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And he's already thrown out, how he wants this done. So now we start talking, and he's bringing up this stuff. He's like, all right, because I need to, all right, 8 o'clock in the morning, I need to start thinking about my alibi. And I'm like, yeah, you do. And because once this is done, we can never meet again. I told him, you need to be seen. Go to a diner, get a receipt, buy a paper, go get gas, make a phone call, be seen by people you know. He goes, oh yeah, easy. I'm going to be at work. Everybody at work will have seen me when you're doing those things. So obviously I didn't kill her. Okay. Check. Another thing that you've thought through in your good idea fairy plan.
Jeez.
Yeah. So now I tell him, because I'm now setting the battlefield. I tell him, I said, listen, you're the soon to be ex-husband. The police, are going to talk. They're going to want to talk to you first. Not going to talk to me. I'm not going to be there. Yeah. I said, so I want you got to expect the police are going to reach out to you. They may come to see you. They may call you. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to talk to you. So you got to be prepared with your alibi and receipts. And he says, yeah, good. Fantastic. Because what he knows and what I know is that the North Kansas City Police Department is not directly across the street from this building, but it's like half a block across the street from the building. And that's where we're going to have him come to, because that's the jurisdiction that's going to respond to this murder. So, Wes Patterson and Harry Lett and myself, we brief in the North Kansas City Police Department, hey, this is what we just percolated tonight. It's across the street from your police department. And we're going to put the girl in pocket now, but we need, and again, it's a big ATF thing that we use undercovers because we want to make a bad guy come to an inaccurate conclusion based on some accurate information that he's looking at. So what we do is we set up a fake crime scene, because the front door to the building, you cannot not see the front of this building when you go to the police department. So he's been called by the police department. Hey, something's happened to your wife. I'm not going to discuss this over the phone, but we need you to come and we need to speak with you. North Kansas City Police Department. He's like, oh, right across the street from our residence. Well, I had North Kansas City PD, excellent police, all these PDs in the Kansas City area, they're doesn't matter, big, small, they're good. Park a crime scene van in front of the building, crime scene. I want yellow tape, cops with clipboards. He has to see that as he's pulling in to the parking lot of the PD. And they set all that up. The table is set. So he comes in and he looks, and I know that he said, oh, he did it. She's dead. Look at this. Look at this show going on over here. Yeah, she's dead. Good. So you bring him into an interview room. And so we've got a North Kansas City detective, Wes Patterson, and they're interviewing John. He's crying. I don't know who would want to hurt my wife. This is terrible. The worst thing in the world. Well, they go through the whole interview and he's like, check, I got through this. And they tell him, you are so upset right now. We're afraid to let you drive. We have a grief counselor that works here every day. Can we bring our grief counselor in just to talk to you, to calm you down a little bit? He's like, okay, I'll talk to your grief counselor. I'm the grief counselor.
Yes, you are.
So I walk in the room, and in the space of half a second, his world has shattered.
Oh, big time.
He won't look at me. Wes goes, John, do you know each other? And he goes, no. I'm like, come on, Nikki from Brooklyn. Yeah, I know him. We had to spend 20 minutes convincing this guy that I really didn't kill his wife. He almost couldn't separate reality from, hey, we're the police. You wanted your wife dead. We have your wife in a hotel being watched right now. She's alive and well. So he finally believes that he's arrested. No criminal history. I think he had a minor arrest in the past. He bit off 12 years on a plea for attempted murder.
Wow.
Yeah. Sentencing is harsh in the state if you get north of the city of Kansas City. Kansas City, you can pretty much, it's 50-50 shot. I can get away with murder. But north of the city, north of the Missouri River, you do something outrageous, you're going to the big house. That was a great case. Anybody would have been thrilled at that moment. We perfected this case. The victim is good. We went and got Mike, the guy who took $4,500. He admitted, yeah, I took $4,500 to kill his wife. And he said, I was never going to do it. I just took his money. I stole his money. I'm like, did you? Well, he had a pretty sizable number left on his parole. State of Missouri revoked his parole. He had to do the rest of his time in Missouri on his original coke charge.
Yeah.
So good, taken care of. But as this whole like magic show is going on with John, grief counselor, Nikki, a guy pulls into the parking lot of this loft building on a motorcycle. And he now is committed to the parking lot, and he sees the cops, the crime scene, the yellow tape, and he stutter stops like abruptly to the point where it got the attention of cops in the parking lot. They're looking over like, what's going on with this guy? They wave him over. He's like, ring. He has decided to get away, but he is in Stressville and dumps the bike. And now it's a foot pursuit that ends on the front lawn of the police department where I'm inside with everybody else with our murder fire guy. This guy fights, breaks a cop's shoulder. They get him in custody and they're like, what's going on with this dude? His name was Wayne Williams. And earlier that day, he had robbed a bank. He had robbed several banks. He was a serial bank robber, but nobody knew that at the time.
Oh, wow.
We heard the story and we're like, oh, that's an interesting story. Well, then, of course, right after that, because now this dude is out on bail and in the wind. Wes, murder for hire, case detective. I'm from the city. He's a robbery detective. And he then starts putting together, that's a bank robbery dude. Good. And now I am going to work on this bank robbery dude. And of course the FBI was involved, but this guy's using firearms. So good. The sawed-off shotgun, no less, that's right up our alley. Right. The FBI hates when we get involved in bank. I'm like, hey, primary Title 18 jurisdiction. He's got an NFA weapon. Whoever gets to the bank first, that's, whoever calls the U.S. attorney first for electronic surveillance, it's like, that's who's going to get the case. Not really. I mean, of course, they would primary, do a bank robbery, but we're going to be in the mix somehow, some way. Bring to the table how we can help. It's not like the firemen and the police fighting over a fire scene or a car accident in the 1950s. It's like, how can we help? The reality of it. But Wes is like a rabid, like he's the dog on the postman's leg with Wayne Williams, this bank robber. Well, Wayne Williams goes to Arizona to rob a bank, except in Arizona, the police get onto him and his stolen rental, whatever he was driving, Jeep. And now it's a car chase. Where are you going to go? It's, where are you going to go? And he basically, his car just smokes out in the parking lot. They don't approach him. It's now a standoff because this guy's got a gun in his hand.
Right.
So again, out in Arizona, beautiful blue skies. What goes up? news helicopters. There are like a few of them over the scene of a bank robbery suspect. And look at all these cops, SWAT guys. We're just going to keep rolling tape and watch how this thing plays out because, and it's live. This isn't tape. They break into like normal programming. Oh my God, look at this. Look how good we are. Right over this thing. Wayne Williams, they don't know who this guy is. They don't know that he has robbed several banks in Kansas City. They just know this guy, one event today, and he ran, and now he's stuck. And he's got a shotgun in his hand. Wayne Williams calls his mom. Mom, they're going to get me. I can't get away. And on live TV, he sticks the shotgun in his mouth and kills himself.
Oh, jeez.
Back to regularly scheduled programming. So we quickly get it. And when that happened, now all the pieces are starting together. And there's an arrest warrant in Kansas City active for Wayne Williams for bank robbery. And I've been kind of in the wings helping Wes and, of course, the FBI that's in the middle of it too. Good. So Wes is like, I'm going to get a search warrant for his parents' house, Lake of the Ozarks, that you're a little familiar with now. Beautiful lakefront house of the parents. We're going to do a search warrant at the parents' house. Guns, more guns, proceeds of these bank robberies, all of that. So having done a bunch of search warrants on Colombians and mega violent guys in New York City, you got to check every pocket and every piece of clothes. I once found $70,000, $500 at a time in coat pockets in a closet. Yeah, crazy. You got to look everywhere. So the cast of 1,000 are searching the house. I'm like the third wheel. I'm there. I go into the garage. I'm like, where would I hide stuff? And what's in the garage? Toolboxes, lawnmowers. Except I see a shoebox. Not really something you would see in the garage. Talk about the find of the century. I open up this shoebox and it's filled with Polaroids, filled of Wayne Williams, our bad guy, and his genetically perfect girlfriend. And, it's no fun unless you can share the experience with 10 of your friends. So what Wayne Williams would do, rob a bank. They would
I got to tell you, man, I've never heard anybody describe a lady like that before.
Yeah. So what does Wayne Williams do with all this newfound cash in his pocket? Just what we would do. Let's rent a stretch limo. We'll get some booze and like a few of our friends, guys, girls, and everybody will just start having sex with everybody in the limo, drinking, and of course, it's no fun unless you can look at these pitches for future titillation. So I got this shoebox full of pitches of not only the sexual activity going on in these stretch limos. I've got pictures of Wayne and his girlfriend engaged in the two of them, like BDSM like acts.
Oh.
And, nothing, nobody's wearing a zipper mask, but I'm like, they're out there. Yeah. They're out there. And then I call the cops over and they're like, there could have been 50 guns in the other room. They're like, oh, look at this. So Wes is looking at this shoebox in the same way I'm looking at this shoebox. And I'm like, Wayne Williams is already dead in the ground. But Miss genetically perfect girlfriend is still out there. I'm like, let's identify this one particular girl that's in these pictures having sexual acts with not only Wayne, but also the girlfriend. Like, this one girl. good. So we figure out who that is. Guess where she lives? The same building of the wife that I was hired to kill. Wayne Williams was coming to her apartment the morning that I had this fake crime scene set up. Even better. So we
I tell you what, let's call right here.
Okay.
We've been going for over an hour, and we're gonna bring you back for a third episode. And I'm stopping right here because I want our listeners to be. It's a teaser. You got to come back and find out what happens to this girl, because this story
is worth the squeeze.
And this story. I've heard most of it already, but I can't wait to find out what's going to happen here. So, Eric, thank you for coming back for part 2. We'll have part 3 tomorrow. All our listeners, thank you all for coming back. And I know you're going to come back to hear the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. In the meantime, stay safe out there. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.